Yeah, I have to finish a few things already, then I start accounting. Everybody? Okay.
So I'm not done.
Okay.
Did you make this question?
Yeah, I made it.
I can see it don't make sense.
It all makes sense. You think so?
Then you get a funny.
You get a funny one. You know how to make the sigma notation? Symbol.
Yeah.
See, you get a basic statistics, you see it? S equals to. That funny looking E, that's supposed to be sigma notation. For example.
Oh,
If you just so everybody should be able to do this, right?
yes.
Yeah? And then you just go a little bit like this, a little bit like this. You get it? Afternoon, how are you? Good, good, good. Why are you sneaking in the class?
She's lazy.
You see that? It's like an M that is facing in the other direction, right? And then you just go out a little bit like that, a little bit like that.
In.
No.
You don't go up.
Out. So it's like the letter M, yes? And then just a little bit. Is that fine? It's the letter M, a little bit up, a little bit up.
Capital E.
Obviously, it should be symmetrical, right? Symmetrical, right? It should be like a mirror image. I mean, it becomes a problem once the M start looking like that. Mr. You understand? Because you're not going to make a letter M most like this, are you?
No.
Okay? So it's the letter M, capital letter M. Yes? Then how?
So that's enough.
You get it?
Yes.
You are saying that's enough now. Okay. Did you finish writing down the questions? How long does it take you to copy these questions from the book?
More than enough. I've made the value of E.
I was waiting for that text, sir, to get class today. Did you text? No, okay.
I called her.
Oh, I did. Yes, of course. Text class. So why are you fooling with me?
Who's in?
Why are you guys fooling with me? Okay, so today in the morning, or just now before lunch, we were actually introducing the sigma notation. But we are going to do some questions and you'll be able to take from them. Okay. Right, so the first one here, the 30th term of the arithmetic progression is 136. That means T sub 30 is 136. And we also know that there is like an AP, so we know that it has to be then A plus 29D is 136. Does that make sense? We know where the 29 comes from. Okay. From the formula,
30 minus 1.
so you have that 29, 30 minus 1. You understand now? We don't know what the value of A is. Okay. Then The second part says, the first term, what method do we use for the first term? A is 5 times the constant or the common difference. So you have got two equations. That makes sense? So what do you think we're going to do right now? We're going to substitute the 5d for a in the first, and then we should be able to calculate the common difference.
Yes, sir.
And we should therefore also know what is a in order for us to find the sixth term. To find the sixth term, I think I can take this off for you, done writing.
Yes.
Especially the second one. Okay. So to find the sixth term, the sixth term is going to be whatever a is plus 6 minus 1 to what? Whatever d is. So now that we have the steps clear, we should be able to solve this type of question without any problem. Okay, so let's substitute then. Substitute 5d for a into equation a. That makes sense? So that means that's going to give us 5d plus 29d is equal to 136. That is 34d, like terms, is equal to 126. So therefore the value of d is 136 divided by 4. So what is the value of d? D equals to 4. Right. Now that we know what d is, we can find the value of a. And a is just 5 times that. So therefore a will be 5 times 4, which what? 20. Now we can actually calculate. Now we can find the sixth term. So the sixth term is nothing but a, which is 20, plus 6 minus 1 times d, which is what? 4. So that's 20. Hello. Let's just get this guy. 5 times 4 is what? And 20 plus 20. Okay. So therefore the sixth term is what? Good. It's a nice question, isn't it? But when you read it at first, you might like, oh well, this is a complicated question. But it is not really. It's just that this part, then you should be able to do that without any problem. So far so good? Let me just come back to what we did in the morning. This is the end, this is the number we start with, and here is our sum T sub n for the general formula, nth term, or whatever you want to call it. So what does this mean? Again, as I said, it's the sum of. Remember, when you have 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9, let's say I go up to there. This is a series. It's a arithmetic or geometric series? It's arithmetic. So this series has what we refer to as the first term is 3. The common difference is 5 minus 3, which is what? 2. So we know it's an arithmetic series. If we were to add this, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, it's not much of a big deal. We don't necessarily have to use the formula as sum. How many terms are we talking about? 4 equals to 4 over 2, and the first term is 3, and the last term is 9. So that is 12 there. 12 times 2 gives you what? Gives you what? 24. And you can go ahead and check. That's 10 plus 14. We don't need to do that. Right? But now I'm just focusing on how do we write this, which is basically the same here. The sum of some formula, which is what we're going to get here. So we need to find the formula. What is that formula? It's T sub n. So we find T sub n as A, which is 3, plus, I'm going to put my value of D in front of the bracket. Is that fine with you? So I'm going to take my D, I'm going to put it in front of the bracket, then I've got n minus 1. So this is going to give me 3 minus 2 plus 2n. I decided to multiply like that, it doesn't really matter that. Okay, so that is going to be 1 plus 2n or 2n plus 1. Now when I say you must write it using this notation, this is basically going to be the sum of, always put this in bracket. Always put it in bracket.
Okay.
The letter here must correspond with what we call the lower end of summation, that is the index.
Yes.
So since it's n, I'm going to have n from n equals to 1 up to, how many terms are there? 4 terms. So the number on top is where you're n, not the 9 here. How many terms are we talking about? Not specifically how many terms we're talking about, but we are going to end there, and that is the 4th term. There are instances, which is what this question is here, where you realize you need to find a number of terms. Here you have got 4 terms. So this is how it's written. The sum of 2n plus 1 from n equals to 1 up to 4. So that means you are going to do this in general terms. You're going to add the terms, all right, and find that answer. But now since there were just 4 terms, well, we can find it, but now you realize if this number here is big, and you determine whether the sequence is an arithmetic or geometric sequence, you use that S sub n formula because it's the sum. This is the sum, so the S sub n formula will be used. You follow? And you need to know the S sub n for geometric as well as for arithmetic. Series as we are adding the terms as we go along. Alright, let's then focus on question 2. I believe you guys are done with the corrections or the answers for the other one. Okay, so I'm going to look at question 4. Now, one of the things I want you to take note of is we are supposed to find the sum of 7 minus 3r from r equals to 5 up to 40. You understand? But we are starting from the 5th term up to the 40th term. So the key is we need to find the number of terms. So I'm going to write down something. It's just a general thing for you to remember. This is from 1 up to 4. So how many terms are there? There are 4 terms, right? So what I'm writing now is just going to help to get the idea. I'm going to talk about the inclusiveness of that upper summation. So what I'm saying is this. Suppose I'm saying find the sum. Okay? And I'm going to use maybe a different letter. Maybe I say n, let's say m equals to n. And this is perhaps x, or I can make this k.
Yes.
And I'm giving you here a formula. Let's say the formula is going to start with what? What will be in the formula? Which letter will be in the formula? Right? So let's say it's 3m plus 6 for that thing. Just as an example. Okay, so we know what that is.
Yes.
But I'm not really interested in that. Okay? So I want how to find the number of terms. So you're going to take the upper part and then you're going to subtract it with the number here. Right? But you need to add 1. Because look here. 4 minus 1 is what? But there are not 3 terms, there are 4 terms. So you have to include that 4. You understand? As you go along the 4th term. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 terms. So when you want to find the number of terms, in this particular question, we are going to say 40 minus 5 equals to 35, but now you must add 1 in order for you to find the number of terms. So you need to include that 40th term. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah? So now we know there are 26 terms. Right. So now is the following thing. We need now to determine the sequence or the series that we have here. Is it an AP or an arithmetic series or a geometric series? So we're going to start with 5 and we do about 3 of them. Because we can't do all of them up to date. Here we could easily, because it's only 4 terms, we can easily then determine first what type of series this is, and then we can find the sum. Whether we were using the S sub n formula or not, because there was not so many terms to contend with from the beginning. So what we need to do here is, we are going to work from that. So I know we're dealing with 36 terms. So we're going to say 7 minus 3 times 5, sorry, plus 7 minus 3 times 6. See, you must start at 5.
Yes.
Plus 7 minus 3 times 7 plus, and so on and so on. Okay? So we're going to go all the way up to
7
plus 7 minus 3 times 14. This here, the only reason I'm writing it is because it's what? It's the last term. So when I use my S sub n formula, and it is an AP, I can use the other formula A plus L, where L is the last term. So, but I just want to test the first 3. You need to do that. So here you have got 3 minus 15. That gives you minus 8.
Minus 8. Minus 11.
Here you get what?
Minus 11.
Here you get what?
Minus 14.
Minus, and so on and so on.
Yes.
Because they are adding negatives as you're going over. Adding negatives, right?
Which will be negative.
Which will give you a negative sum.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we know we need to get a negative sum. That's one of the first things that we will be able to do. Right. So is this an AP or a GP? So let's see whether it's an AP. So to test for an AP, you subtract the terms. So you're going to say negative 11 minus negative 8. We'll see if it's the same thing as negative 14 minus negative 11. That makes sense?
Which is
Right. This here is the same as 9 minus 11. Okay? And what is 9 minus 11? Negative 3. This is the same as 11 minus 14. It is what?
negative.
So, it's an AP there. Okay? So it has a constant, I'm just taking this away. So the constant difference is negative 3. The first term is what? Negative. The number of terms,
So,
yes, is equal to 36.
it's going to be 87.
Yeah, we are going to find ourselves, and I'm just writing down what I have. So what we're looking for, this thing is find the sum of this general formula from r equals to 5 all the way up to 40, like the way we did here. So I'm going to use the formula S sub n equals to n over 2.
The last one.
Then I have a plus L because this is my last term there. Does that make sense?
Just
Otherwise I could have still used the other formula, 2a plus
Yeah,
n
don't
minus
need
1 times b. So how many terms did we say are there?
36.
Then you have 36 over 2. The first term is what? The last term is what?
Negative 130.
Whatever this is. What is this?
Negative 130.
130.
30.
113.
Yes.
Right. So now let's punch that in and give me the final answer. So what is this answer going to be? I know it's negative.
Negative 2,170.
2,178.
170.
And of course that is what we're looking for. You see, it's not up to me. Yes. So when you are dealing with the sigma notation, we are going to deal with S sub n because it's just a series. It's just another shorter way of writing it. You understand? And from there you just play around with the notation. That makes sense?
Just do the next.
Everybody has it so far? Right? Any questions on the answer now? We give 2 minutes. If you look at the last one, I just want us to all concentrate and focus now. So let me just give people an opportunity to write that down. But can I take this off so long?
Yes.
This is just the notes that we did this morning, huh? When we did the introduction of the sigma notation. So I'm going to look here at solution of question 3, the ones that I put. It's not really a big problem question. Maybe you can try it on your own before I explain it on the board. You should be able to get to the answers relatively straightforward. Okay? Just don't stress too much about it. But anyway, let's see. So we are looking for the sum, or the sum is given as 24.
Yes.
The sum of k plus 2d from k equals to 1 up to k equals to 3 is 24. But now we're looking for the value of d. So let's then just write that down. So k equals to 1, and after that, so I'm going to have k plus 2d. So that means 1 plus 2d plus 2 plus 2d, are you with me? Plus 3 plus 2d should equal to 24. That makes sense? You see how I'm writing it? Now let's just remove the brackets and add as we go along, okay? So it's 1, 2 plus 3, that gives you 6. 2, 4, 6 plus 6d equals to 24. Does everybody understand what I did there? So just add, removing the brackets. Since there's not much of a difference it's going to make anyway, I just go ahead and I add, but if there was subtractions or minuses, then obviously it would be something else. So 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. 2d plus 2d is 4d, plus another 2d gives you the 6d. So from here is a general straightforward equation. You subtract 6 from both sides, and 24 minus 6, don't worry, I'll wait, 18.
18 divided by 6.
And then the value of d will be
3.
d equals to what? Which is the required answer. This is, again, it does not, it looks like a difficult question, but it's not a difficult question.
What if that number on top is 40?
Of course, the way I asked this question, right, was for you just to see that it's not always that the unknown that you're going to be asked is going to be, it can also be the value of d when you're given the first term. You say, he's saying, what if this here was 40? Then we are going to be able to, in terms of d, write down the first, the second, and so on, right? Then we are going to then substitute it into that in order to find the sum. But in this case, I'm telling you what the sum is. So when the sum is given, then something is left out in your generator. Let me just repeat that because I don't think you get it. When you are given the sum of whatever this general formula is, from somewhere here to somewhere there, is equal to the number. If it's equal to some value, then it means this number is unknown. Normally you put an n there. You follow? It doesn't mean the number of terms, it means up to where? What is that?
The end.
3, what does 3 tell you? For this particular case, it tells us what? The number of terms.
The last.
But not here. No, not here when you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
You follow? Because it didn't start at 1 now, did it? You follow what I mean? So that is the end where it should end. So we can make an unknown there, or we can make an unknown here. But it's very rare, but you're going to see. Or in the general formula, you can make an unknown. Like here, where I said find d here. You understand that?
Really to
Okay. Remember what I said? The index, this letter, and that letter in the general formula should correspond. So if there's an x equals to 1, this formula must have an x in it. Okay? The only reason the d was there is because I gave you the sum. I told you that that is equal to that. So now you must still go ahead like usual, substitute 1, 2, and 3, and so on, and find the value of d. Okay, I wanted to look at one question while we are on this particular, this little part. So if you look at page 64. Now I want you to look at F. There's a reason why I want to look at F. Okay? Maybe you need to highlight F as well because your book's answer is wrong. I think in the textbook of yours,
Check the question.
check page 220 something, 224, 25.
Check the question.
So what I was doing now here is exactly the same concept. So what they're saying here is they're saying you must evaluate. Now I'm looking at F. Are you there?
That's an A. That's a
Page 64. Evaluate the sum of, but a little bit of square brackets because you use square brackets when you're going to use other brackets. You understand? Okay? So don't just start with square brackets from your own side. But anyway, this is the general formula here.
This is
And it's from x equals to 1 up to x equals to 10. So they want us to find the sum of the 10 as we go along. There are going to be 10 terms, right? So the first thing you do, we are going to determine whether this is an AP or GP, but you see something. If I say A plus, now maybe for, I'm going to use a different letter here, plus A plus, so this is going to be what?
2.
2 minus 1. I'm going to do only 3, right? Plus A,
2D.
3 minus 1. Plus so on, so on. What is the last term going to be? The last term will be minus. Good. So this is the last term.
Yes.
Are you with me? Which is also my theta there.
Yes.
If we can determine also if it's a GP, and you know what is a theta n for a GP, or geometric series, if it's a harmonic series, then you use the correct G. Theta n. Okay? So let us just find this answer here. So this is going to be 0. So anything times 0, this just leaves us with A. Are we going together? This is going to be A plus D. This is going to be
A plus 2.
Now we have been doing this
A plus 9.
type of formula. We know, is this a GP or a link? It's an arithmetic series. Because the first term is A, and the common difference is just D. You follow? This is the first term. This one here, second term. If you subtract this from there, you will get D. So, A is the first term. Understand that? And this one here is the constant order common difference. So we are supposed to use S sub n. So S sub n of n over 2. I'm going to use this one, can I?
Yes.
Okay. What is the number of terms that we have? Okay. How do you find it? 10 minus 1 plus 1. But it's easy because it starts from 1, so there are 10 terms. No? You will do that when you are not starting from 1. You follow? Now we're going to say the sum of the first 10 terms. The first term is what? A. The last term is what? Can you see that? Right, before we do anything, let's find, or let's just simplify. So this can become a 5 here. This is 2A plus 9D. We nearly finished, we just have to multiply that 5 over. So the final answer there of the 10 terms, sum of the 10 terms is going to be 10A plus. So your book has a problem here. Put a D there. please correct that or just highlight it in your answer.
Let's see.
Okay? I don't know what to check. I think it's a typo.
Trying the three
Say what?
Trying the three
Yeah, so just highlight again that D should not be there. Okay? Just write down the correct answer there. So you don't end up confused when you get to that. Right, so everything else there is the same general idea. Right now 26. Unless there's any other problem, this is exactly how this question is done. Now, we are not totally done with our way of answering. So now you're going to say, therefore, are you with me? The sum of a plus x minus 1 d from x equals to 1 up to 10 is equal to 10a plus 45d. This is the answer. They have to answer. Remember, you're answering on the lines. People, don't just get here and expect us to now know what you're saying. You're supposed to go and bring the deduction. You must always answer the question.
Yeah.
Therefore, the sum of blah 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 is equal to that, whatever that is. There is an expression you put it in a number like 500. You understand? If there was no unknown here for A and B, now you've got two unknowns. So you're going to have two unknowns in your answer as well. You understand?
Yeah.
So please make sure that. That's why when I gave you the test, I gave you all those lines. So I'm reiterating that. But for the learners in grade 12 doing high level, it is not the case. Okay? You are answering on the answer space. I mean, you don't have to go and obviously we'll keep the final answer. You can just write 10a plus 45d. But for you guys, you know, where is that fact? And I must maybe warn you, friendly, that you need to answer. And we like to use the three dots to imply this is our answer. Because you are working here, and we want to see, and please try your steps. That's why even when I was doing the memo, I was trying to explain step by step. Now do this, do that. You understand what I'm saying? But there's a space that's going to work. So there is no answer equals to. You need to go and give the final answer. Therefore, what is what? Therefore, this is this. So you need to answer that. And the nice thing is always I tend to put it in a rectangle. You understand?
Yeah.
So bring out or telling the examiner, this is my final answer. I have then answered the question. Or, as you see there, those other things I put two lines there. That implies that is what the final answer is. That gives, that's basically what it gives. That implies that gives. It's what it is.
I see.
Anything else in try now 26 before I go on to try now 27?
Let's go.
Because I told you to do these things, and then this is just supposed to be like yeah. So if you're done talking, I think you can clean. Don't be shy with your phone, you can take pictures of that. But it's there, I'm just uploading them these days. I don't know how they look, how is the quality? Really, you're gonna sleep here? It's one of two things. Either I bore you, or you are genuinely tired. Which one is it?
I'm just tired.
What?
It's just you who didn't hear. She said she's just tired, that's all. No pun intended. You really want to throw? Let's play a game. You throw me with that, I throw you with that. Right? I have a break in this class or something. Alright, now sheet 27 is exactly the same like the stuff that we have done before. But I'm very interested in 2B. Okay? But I'm going to, for the sake of, I'm going to do maybe question 1A and maybe 2A and all of basically everything into question 2.